Right here in this box in front of me is something we've been waiting on for 6 months at this point. It is the HP Elite Dragonfly Chromebook. It's the same device that we had early hands-on with at CES all the way back in January, but this is a production model. This is one that is going to go on a shelf and be sold. So we're excited to see how, everything has come together with this device that just checks all the boxes, has all the stuff inside, and is likely going to be the Chromebook to beat for 2022. Let's jump in here and check it out. First up, a nod to HP. This is their flagship Chromebook for this year, for sure, and maybe one of their most important Chromebooks they've ever made at this point. And they put it in some pretty pedestrian boxing because they've really pushed into this whole, eco-friendly packaging and stuff. So I fully expect everything in here to be, reused materials, stuff that's easy to recycle and all that kind of stuff. And as much as I really do like seeing boxes that set Chromebooks apart from the rest, I do have to acknowledge the fact that it's kind of cool that they realize this Chromebook's going to speak for itself and it can come in the most pedestrian boxing you've ever seen and still be okay, because this thing is going to be flat out awesome. I didn't do all of my homework here. I thought it would be on the box. It's not. I believe we have the Core i5 12th Gen Alder Lake version of this device with 256 gigs of NVMe storage and 8 gigs of RAM. I'm not 100% sure on that, but we'll check that once we get it fired up and going. Nothing out of the ordinary from a paperwork standpoint. And yeah, this is that kind of recycled stuff. It works. It does the job, and it's not adding much more plastic to the environment, which is really awesome. Go ahead and get this out, and we'll come back to it in just a second. Yeah, just as good as I remember. I mean, it's that navy color, the real glossy HP logo, that new HP logo, not the logo that's here. This is the old school HP logo. This is their new one that they're moving to. I really love this logo. I've said that 100 times, I feel like. Really cool Chromebook down here at the bottom. You got the nice chamfered edges on the hinges, and just a really sleek, really thin form factor without feeling like crazy thin. It feels substantial, very firm, all aluminum chassis, some composite materials I think in here as well. Decent port selection around the side too. You got USB Type-C on this side, Kensington lock, looks like a SIM card. Yeah, that's a SIM tray there. So this is an LTE model, which is cool. You've got a jaw drop. This is the first time I've seen a jaw drop USB Type A where I feel like it's actually needed. Usually the jaw drop's there and it's like, you could have just put the full size slot there. But with this one, the way it kind of curves up the edge, it looks nice and in line with that USB Type-C, and then full-size headphone microphone jack there. I believe these are all USB 3.2 as well, or the USB-Cs are USB 4, the USB-A is a 3.2. Another USB Type-C here, should be Thunderbolt 4, micro SD card slot, power volume rocker, and a full-size HDMI slot that they managed to squeeze back there on the edge. And so, great port selection. Not surprising. This device just, I feel like, just has everything. We're going to get into it here in just a second, but I'll make sure there's nothing. Oh yeah, the pen comes with it too. So we'll talk about that here in just a second. Pretty standard USB Type-C charging brick here. Nothing out of the ordinary. Let's get all this stuff off the table so we can focus in on this guy here. Let's check the pen out. Probably going to be the same that we had before. Again, all the stuff that we had when we had hands-on with this before was all pre-production. So this is stuff that's going to be sold. Rip that off there. But yeah, same kind of colorway, flat-sided here. But there's no ports for charging because this thing charges wirelessly with this device. And so there's a magnet around the side here. Yeah, that firmly grasps it there. I think it goes in both ways. Yeah, so you can go either way. I think it's meant to go that way, but then it's on there and it's not coming off anytime soon. Now, from what I understand, this is still a USB 1.0 pen, even though it has wireless charging. Wireless charging is one of those specs that comes with USI 2.0, but I think this is still a 1.0 pen. If it's 2.0, it'll work on that Lenovo Duet that we have that we don't have a pen for at this point. But let's see if there's anything interesting in here. So you're showing 30 seconds. I'm guessing that's supposed to be 1 hour of use. It won't take much. I mean, the battery cells in these are very, very tiny. But yeah, there's no indication here that it's 2.0. I don't recall having seen that for sure. But the fact that it charges wirelessly made us wonder possibly if it would be a 2.0 pen, but we'll look into that further for the review and all that kind of stuff. Any other stuff on the outside here? We do have a fan port really nicely hidden back here. This reminds me of the Galaxy Chromebook lineup. It had a really cool fan port back here in the back, and then a not so subtle one here. And then I noticed this on the way around as well. This is probably going to be impossible to catch. I don't know. I think you can probably see these little things right here. So these are speaker ports in addition to the speaker port that's on the top on the inside. So before I crack it open, though, I did want to pay homage to the Elite C1030, which is kind of the older sibling of this device. And you can obviously see the similarities here between the two. The size is almost the exact same. The screen size is the same. Just the same idea here. And this device, even though it's a 10th gen device and is a couple years old at this point, still a fantastic Chromebook. It's just really great to use on a daily basis. So, you know, the Elite Dragonfly is definitely the next version of this already awesome Chromebook. So without that, let's make sure there's nothing on the feet. Nope. We got a good grip. We'll see if we get a one finger lift here. Not quite, but very, very close. Yeah, we'll have to plug this in to get it up and running, but let's talk about the keyboard deck here real quick before we do that. We've got a fingerprint scanner. You've got the haptic trackpad. So right now, as I push on this, it doesn't move. There's nothing moving on this. But once it is powered up, it will provide haptics that make it feel like it's clicking. That is one thing that wasn't working great in our pre-production unit, so I'm going to be interested to see how well that works. The keyboard, HP has been making great keyboards across most of their products for the last handful of years, but the C1030 was exceptionally good. This one in our pre-production unit was awesome too. Those keys feel fantastic. Just the texture even on this keyboard feels great. It's very quiet, very clicky. You get some additional keys up here at the top too. So you've got a dedicated keyboard brightness button, just one button, on and off. You've got a dedicated microphone switch up here as well. And then the other custom keys that we've kind of gotten used to with Chromebooks over the last few years with the screenshot tool and all that kind of stuff. Apart from that, everything else up here is the same. Obviously, this is a backlit keyboard. It's probably not even going to have much light bleed because, again, this thing just does everything right. And then you've got your other speakers up here. So now you've got a quad speaker setup with this device. This is a 13.5 inch 3x2 display with a 5 megapixel webcam up top that has a physical shutter across it. And this is going to come in either a full HD kind of class like the C1030 did, or it'll come in the Quad HD, the same resolution, I believe, as the Acer Chromebook Spin 513 and the previous 713s at 13.5 inch 3x2 2256 by 1504 resolution. So let me get this thing powered on, and we're going to check out the speakers. I want to check out the haptic trackpad and just give a look at the screen and maybe the camera before we get out of here. So first up, like I said, there's very little light bleed with this keyboard. You can probably see a little bit of it as I turn it here. I believe I've got the keyboard brightness. Yeah, it's up all the way. And then that one button, you click it, turns everything off, turns them back on. I really like having that because honestly, most people tend to set the keyboard brightness at a certain brightness. And when you want it, you need it. And when you don't, you turn it off. It's nice to just have one button to toggle it off, toggle it back on. Pretty handy there. Again, I don't think you get, there's no toast or anything there for the physical camera shade, but if we hit the mic mute, you get the nice toast there that you've turned your mic on and off. So again, some nice manual controls for what HP made this thing for, which is getting business done. You're going to be in video calls and all that kind of stuff. So speaking of that, let me fire the camera up here and give it a look. So like I said, 5 megapixel camera, but HP's doing some stuff with their camera to really work on dynamic range, to work on keeping the foreground lit and the background lit in a way that looks really good. And I can tell you right now, this thing looks excellent. The sensor's doing its job and the hardware's doing its job. So I'm gonna turn it towards you again. We've done this before, but showing Joe there, like you can see some nice details. You see the back coming up there, the backlighting coming up without blowing out the shot. Let's get my hand in there. But you can see in the next room, there's some lighting there. I'm telling you, this type of shot would just destroy most Chromebooks. So the webcam on here is doing really good. You can shoot photos and stills in 5 megapixels. The video, at least on the built-in camera app, only lets you go to 1080p, it looks like. So we'll be testing this for sure in some video calling situations. You've got dual array microphones. It's going to do all the cool noise canceling stuff that most Chromebooks would do, but you're getting the addition of this really good camera. And as I turned it to me, like it was exposed for that darkness part of the room over there. As soon as I turned it to me, it took just a second, figured the scene out. Like I can see the blue in the back. I can actually see the ring light. Like I can see the ring itself. Not one time have I ever tested a Chromebook camera in our studio and been able to see that. It usually just completely blows out. What they're working on in the camera is excellent. I think they're possibly going to get some other cool stuff going eventually with it, to where it can like follow you as you move through the frame. So we'll obviously keep up with those kind of things as they develop. Next up, the thing I'm excited to try is the haptic trackpad, and hopefully you can hear that. I'm going to be really quiet. And you can tell anywhere I push on the trackpad, it's giving me that nice click. I can't show you the click mechanism, but I can tell you it feels like, you know, just like haptic trackpads do, it feels like the trackpad's moving. It's so bizarre. It's such a cool thing because you don't ever have to worry about your trackpad being misaligned or a little bit floppy. It just works the way it's supposed to. And so I want to go in here. Let's see, touchpad. All right, let me adjust that brightness there. So I feel like that's going to blow the shot out. There we go. So you can see in the settings here, you get your normal trackpad settings, you know, your touchpad speed, acceleration, all that kind of stuff. But then underneath that, with this one, you have click strength, which is light, medium, and firm. If I click it up to firm, there's much more haptic feedback there. Less there. I don't know that it's more or less actual feedback. It's how hard you have to push. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, so if you like it to where you really have to go for it, I don't. I like a nice light click, and so I can barely push on that and get that. The haptics themselves actually feel the exact same every time, so that's kind of cool. And then you've also got, let's see what this says, haptic feedback, receive vibration confirmation from actions like split screen and switching desks. That wasn't there before. Let's see. Yeah, there's a nice little subtle bump whenever you switch desks that you can feel. That's kind of nice. There's a big bump when you get to the end. So when you get to the end where you're here, you probably even hear that. But these are real subtle. There's no way if that mic's picking it up, I'm surprised. So excellent here. I mean, it's all glass, obviously, so everything's really smooth. But those haptics are really cool feeling. Obviously, as we go through the review process, I'll be able to tell you over time of using it if there's parts of it that are weird or don't work, but I can tell you right now this thing feels really, really awesome. One thing I just thought of, I'm going to check the internals real quick just to make sure. Yeah, so 8, 256, Core i5. Yeah, so those are the specs. I was correct on that. And this is the higher resolution screen, which gets super bright. I can't turn it and show you on camera. I can tell you what we're shooting at right now is like only 50% of its brightness, but it's that really nice Quad HD. Just a great looking screen. The colors look awesome. Everything looks nice and punchy. So very cool there. And last thing, let me pull up a video to test the audio here, because when we test stuff, we can't put, you know, just anything on our videos, or else, you know, we run into copyright issues. So I've started becoming really familiar with being able to pick up on whether speakers are good or not, just based on listening to our videos, because I know kind of how those things are tuned and how they should sound. So obviously these speakers are going to be tuned more towards spoken word. So you want the spoken word to sound rich and full, because that's, I mean, when you're in video meetings and all that kind of stuff, like that's what they want to make sure the speakers are good at. But it's nice if they have a nice wide range. So let's give them a listen, because they weren't tuned very well the first time we got around to it. And it's, you know, we've got 2 speakers here and then 2 speakers here, so it could sound a little interesting as well. Different screens and different processors. So let's talk about at 3/4, and that's really loud. And what you need to know to get the best handwriting experience possible out of cursive. But real quick, there's a nice amount of bass in there. It's not crazy. I still don't think these are on the same playing level as something like the Pixelbook Go. It's just, I keep waiting for a Chromebook to come out that I'm like, hey, these beat the Pixelbook Go finally. It just hasn't done that. But these are very nice speakers. They sound really good, and there's some just interesting like spatial stereo separation going on, because you've got two sets of stereo speakers going on here. So it should help it, when you're different tablet modes and stuff like that, to keep the speakers from getting muffled against the table or anything like that. So I would say, the speakers sound very good. They're not the most exceptional speakers I've ever heard, but they do sound very good and just complement the overall theme of this Chromebook, which is, it feels like it's just kind of good at everything. But the rest of those thoughts will need to wait for the full review, because obviously, just like any other Chromebook, we need to spend time with it. And that means some things are going to show up that aren't perfect about this Chromebook. No Chromebook's ever going to be perfect, I don't think. But as far as checking off the boxes of stuff that you would want in a device, and it's like, man, I wish it had this, or I wish it had that. Man, this thing really does the job of that. It just has almost everything you could want: a place to put the stylus, a fingerprint scanner, haptics on the trackpad, backlit keyboard, a great keyboard, high-res screen, 3x2, 13.5 inches, super fast internals, lots of storage, all kinds of ports, LTE support. I mean, just keep checking the boxes off. It's got so much stuff going for it. But again, we need to review it, need to spend time with it, need to let some of the guys use it and see what everybody kind of thinks about this device. But I think HP has put together a really awesome package in the Elite Dragonfly Chromebook, and I can't wait to get started testing it out. But that's it for this one. If you guys enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up, head down there, hit that subscribe button, and make sure you ring the notification bell as well if you'd like to be alerted when we make future videos just like this one. Until next time, we'll see you.